you wake before the bells. The air is thick in your throat, damp and sour, and for a moment you lie still, listening. Somewhere beyond the timber wall, a man coughs, not once, but again and again, a deep tearing sound that scrapes upward from his chest. You try to ignore it. In London, in the year 1348, someone is always coughing. Your mattress is nothing more than a sack of straw laid across wooden planks. It rustles when you shift your weight. The straw has long since lost any scent of field or sun. Now, it carries the smell of dust, sweat, and the faint ammonia of old rushes spread across the floor to soak up spills and worse. Beneath that, always lingers smoke. The hearth never truly goes cold. It stains the rafters black and settles into your hair and clothes so deeply that you no longer notice it unless the fire dies. A pale gray light seeps through the narrow gap in the shutter. Dawn is coming. You sit up and feel the chill immediately. London mornings are wet, even in summer. The river breathes moisture into the air, and it clings to wool and wood alike. You pull on your tunic, stiff with dried sweat. The fabric scratches your neck. There is no privacy here. Two children sleep near the hearth, curled together for warmth. Your wife stirs but does not wake. The room smells of bodies, ash, and last night's pottage. Outside, the city is already shifting. When you open the door, the lane greets you with mud. Not soft earth, but a churned mixture of soil, straw, animal dung, fish guts, and the contents of chamber pots emptied from upper windows. You step carefully. Your boots sink slightly, making a wet sound as you pull them free. Above you, houses lean inward as if trying to whisper across the narrow gap. Their upper stories jut out so far that they block much of the sky. A woman across the lane lifts her skirts just enough to keep the hem from dragging through the worst of it. She balances two wooden buckets across her shoulders, heading toward the public conduit before the queue grows long. Clean water must be claimed early. Later, it will be cloudy from too many hands. From somewhere to your right comes the metallic rhythm of iron striking iron. A blacksmith has already begun work. Sparks jump briefly in the half-light, then vanish. A baker opens his shutters, releasing a wave of warm air scented with fresh bread. For a heartbeat, it almost masks the stench of the street. Almost. London holds tens of thousands within its walls, pressed together in timber houses and narrow courts. Merchants live above their shops. Apprentices sleep in lofts. Laborers rent corners of rooms. The wealthy cluster near Cheapside and along the broader streets, where stone buildings rise with more confidence. But even there, filth finds its way into cracks and corners. You pass a butcher's stall being prepared for the day. Carcasses hang from iron hooks, pale and heavy. Blood drips slowly into a wooden trough. Flies gather despite the cool morning air, crawling over exposed flesh. The butcher's boy swats at them with a rag, muttering under his breath. He cannot keep them away. No one can. The bells begin, one slow toll from a nearby parish church. Then another. You pause without meaning to. A single death is common enough. London buries its people every day. Fever in winter. Accidents on the river. Children lost before they have learned to speak clearly. Death is familiar. But the rumors have been spreading. They say a ship came into the southern ports with half its crew already dead. They say men in Dorset fell sick in the morning and were buried by nightfall. They speak of swellings under the arms and along the groin, hard and painful, of blackened skin, of blood coughed on a straw bedding. You do not want to believe it. London has survived famine, war, and fire. It will survive this too. That is what you tell yourself as you walk toward the river. The Thames is restless at this hour. Barges creak against their moorings. Water slaps against stone embankments. The smell here is sharper, layered with rot and salt, and the tang of tanning pits nearby. Men unload barrels of wine from Gascony. Others stack wool bales bound for Flanders. Trade continues because it must. Wealth depends on it. So does survival. A merchant in a dark wool cloak speaks quietly with a sailor whose face is drawn and pale. You catch only fragments. Sick men, a port closed, a crew reduced. The merchant's jaw tightens. He thinks of contracts and coin. You think of the cough you heard before dawn. By mid-morning, the streets grow more crowded. Apprentices hurry with bundles under their arms. A priest walks past, his robe brushing the edge of the mud, lips moving in prayer. Two boys chase each other recklessly through the lane, splashing filth onto their legs. Their laughter rings bright and careless. For a moment, the city feels as it always has. Then you see him. A dock worker you recognize leans heavily against a wall. He is not old, perhaps 30, but hardship has carved lines into his face. His skin looks wrong, too pale, stretched tight across his cheekbones, sweat beads along his brow despite the cool air. When he shifts, you notice how carefully he moves his arm, as if something beneath it pains him. He catches you looking and forces a grin. "Just tired," he says. "Too much ale last night." But his eyes are glassy. The bells ring again before noon. This time from another parish. A murmur spreads faster than the sound itself. 2 deaths. 3. Someone whispers that a woman in the next ward developed a swelling the size of an egg beneath her jaw and was dead within 2 days. Another claims that entire households in the south have vanished. The word plague is not spoken loudly yet, but it hangs in the air like smoke. Inside your chest, something tightens. You return home earlier than usual. The lane seems narrower than it did at dawn. A cart rattles past you, wheels struggling in the mud. It carries no grain, no timber. Instead, a shape lies beneath rough cloth. 2 men walk beside it with faces set and blank. They do not look at anyone. At your door, you hesitate before stepping inside. The room feels smaller, the air thicker. Your wife looks up from the hearth, searching your face for reassurance. You give her none because you have none to give. The children ask why the bells are ringing so often. You tell them someone has gone to God. That night, sleep does not come easily. The cough in the alley returns, louder now. A woman's voice rises in distress, then falls into sobbing. Somewhere a door slams. You lie on your back staring into darkness, listening to the breathing of your family. Counting it, measuring it. By the second morning, the bells begin before you wake. The sound is no longer isolated. It overlaps from different churches, a slow and steady chorus that rolls over rooftops and down into every lane. It does not stop quickly. It lingers, as if the city itself is exhaling something heavy and final. When you step outside, you notice small changes. A shutter that usually opens at dawn remains closed. The butcher's stall is unattended. The dock worker is nowhere to be seen. In the marketplace, a physician stands surrounded by anxious faces. He speaks of corrupted air, of imbalanced humors, of the need to burn herbs and keep windows sealed at night. Some nod eagerly, desperate for instruction. Others look unconvinced but afraid to say so. Knowledge feels thin against whatever is unfolding. By afternoon, the first true fear grips you. A boy runs through the lane shouting that his mother has fallen ill. He is breathless, mud splattered to his knees. You follow at a distance, drawn by something you cannot name. Inside the small house, the air is suffocating. The woman lies on a straw mattress, her face flushed and slick with sweat. Beneath her jaw, a dark swelling pushes against the skin. She moans when touched. You step back instinctively. The room smells of sickness, sharp and unfamiliar, cutting through smoke and filth alike. The priest arrives murmuring prayers. No one speaks of cure. They speak only of mercy. When you return home that evening, the city feels altered, as if a shadow has shifted its weight across the walls. You wash your hands in a basin of water drawn at dawn. It feels inadequate. You scrub harder than usual. You avoid touching your face. You listen again to every cough in the alley. The bells ring once more before darkness settles, and this time you know with a certainty that settles deep in your bones that London has changed. The morning routine, the bread, the river, the market noise, all continue, but something invisible now moves between bodies and narrow lanes, in crowded rooms, in the very air you breathe. You lie awake long after the hearth has dimmed, aware that when the next dawn comes, it may carry your name in the tolling of those bells. The third morning arrives without birdsong. You notice it immediately. The usual chatter from rooftops is gone, as if even the sparrows have retreated from the smoke-heavy air. The bells are already ringing when you open your eyes. Not one, not two, many. Their sounds overlap until they form a single dull wave that presses against your skull. Your wife is awake before you speak. She has heard them too. Outside, the lane is thinner in sound. Fewer voices. Fewer footsteps. The baker's shutters remain closed. No warm breath of bread drifts into the street. A cart stands abandoned near the corner, one wheel sunk deep in mud. No one has bothered to move it. You walk toward the market and count what is missing. The fishmonger's stall is empty. The blacksmith's forge is cold. A cluster of neighbors stands at a distance from one another, speaking in low tones. No one gestures widely anymore. No one laughs. Every cough turns heads. Near St. Paul's, a group gathers around a cart piled high with rough-wrapped bodies. There are more than yesterday. The men loading them work quickly, avoiding eye contact. One body slips slightly as it is lifted, and a bare hand falls free from the cloth. The fingers are darkened at the tips. You look away too late. By midday, the city smells different, not simply of waste and smoke, but of something sweeter and heavier beneath it. The odor of too many bodies in too little time. Graves are dug faster now. Churchyards cannot keep pace. Fresh earth lies in uneven mounds, some already reopened to make space for more. You hear that entire households have fallen silent. Doors remain shut long after sunrise. In some cases, neighbors dare to push them open only to find stillness inside. A table set for a meal never eaten. A jug overturned. Straw bedding disturbed and then abandoned. The physician who spoke of corrupted air no longer stands in the square. Someone says he is taken ill himself. Fear begins to distort judgment. A man refuses to allow his own brother inside the house, shouting through the door that he will leave food on the step. A woman runs from her home claiming her husband is cursed. 2 apprentices slip out of the city gates before dawn, hoping the countryside will be spared. Some say the illness is punishment. Others whisper that strangers have poisoned wells. Suspicion spreads faster than reason. You try to continue your work. You lift, hammer, measure. Your hands know the motions even as your thoughts wander. But fewer customers come. Those who do stand at a distance, speaking quickly, eager to return home. Coin changes hands without touch whenever possible. In the afternoon, the dockworker reappears. He moves slowly, as if each step costs him. His face shines with sweat despite the cool air. When he shifts his arm, you see it clearly now. A swelling beneath his sleeve, stretching the fabric tight. His lips tremble as he speaks. He tells you it is nothing. Just a boil. By evening, he cannot stand. You help carry him inside his home. The room is hot and airless. His wife presses cloth to his forehead, her own face pale with terror. When his shirt is loosened, the swelling beneath his arm is dark and swollen, the skin around it mottled. He gasps as if the air itself resists entering his lungs. You step back again. The priest arrives once more. His voice is hoarse from constant prayer. He anoints the dockworker with oil, murmuring words that have comforted generations. But comfort feels thin against the speed of this sickness. The dockworker is dead before dawn. On the 4th morning, the bells do not stop. They roll across the city in waves, overlapping so completely that silence becomes unfamiliar. Carts move continuously now. Not 1 or 2, but many. Some are pulled by men because horses are scarce or already taken by those fleeing. The wheels leave deep ruts in the mud, filling with foul water. You notice that the children no longer ask questions. They watch your face instead. Food grows uncertain. With bakers sick or dead, ovens go cold. Grain deliveries falter. Prices climb quickly. Those with stores of food guard them closely. Those without begin to look desperate. The streets, once crowded, now feel vast in their emptiness. Sound travels differently. A single shout echoes. A single door slam startles. Smoke rises from fewer chimneys. And yet death does not move evenly. Some houses remain untouched, and one, laughter erupts briefly as if in defiance. In another, a baby cries strong and clear. Life persists in pockets, stubborn and fragile. Days blur. You lose count of how many times you have heard the bells. You measure time instead by absence. The carpenter down the lane, gone. The woman who fetched water at dawn, gone. The butcher's boy, gone. You begin to feel every sensation in your own body with suspicion. a warmth in your forehead, a tenderness in your neck. You press your fingers against your skin, searching for swellings. Each night you listen to your breathing and to that of your family, counting the steady rhythm as proof of survival. The churchyards can hold no more. Large pits are dug beyond the usual graves. Bodies are laid side by side, wrapped quickly, covered in layers of soil that barely mask the smell. There are no individual markers now. No carved names. Only earth. Standing at the edge of one such pit, you feel the scale of it for the first time. This is no passing fever. This is a tearing of the fabric that held the city together. Guild halls stand silent. Workshops gather dust. Contracts are forgotten. Debts lose meaning when both debtor and lender are gone. The hierarchy that once felt fixed begins to loosen. There are too few hands for the work that remains. And then, one morning, the bells ring less often. Not because debt has vanished, but because there are fewer left to die. The lanes are quiet in a way you have never known. You walk past shuttered houses and count how many will never open again. Grass begins to push through the edges of neglected paths. The river still flows, indifferent and constant. You are still here. Your family is still here. The city is scarred, hollowed, altered beyond recognition. Yet smoke rises again from some hearths. A baker relights his oven. A merchant reopens his shop, though his shelves are sparse. Survivors step cautiously into daylight, measuring the space between one another. You stand in the lane where this began, where you once smelled only mud and waste and smoke. The air feels lighter now, though grief hangs within it. The bells are silent at last. You understand something you did not before. This morning, like that first one, feels ordinary in its quiet, but everything beneath it has shifted. So many voices are gone that the city echoes with absence. Labor is scarce. Wages will rise. Those who once bowed may now bargain. The order of things has cracked. You did not see the edge when you stood upon it. You only smelled smoke and heard a cough in the dark. History will remember this year in numbers. It will speak of a third of Europe lost. It will chart consequences in wages and laws and shifting power. But you will remember the weight of damp air before dawn. The sound of bells that would not stop. The sight of a single hand falling from rough cloth on a cart. You will remember how fragile the boundary was between routine and ruin. And as you breathe in the thinner, quieter air of a wounded London, you understand that survival is not triumph. It is responsibility. To rebuild, to remember, to step again into narrow lanes and begin the slow work of living. The bells are silent now, but you will never wake the same way again.